Oh, hi, hello, it's Anne. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to a brand new bullet journal setup video. Today I'm gonna be kind of redoing an old one of my videos where I walk you through all of my economy and bullet journal spreads that I currently use in my bullet journal. I made a video like this like a couple of years ago. I'll link it in the description box and the little information card in the corner. I've changed a few things up since then, and that's why I thought that we could probably use a little updated version of this video, because I feel like I've kind of optimize a few of these spreads. I've changed a few things up. There are some spreads that I did in the last video that I'm not using at all anymore, and yeah, it's just time for a little update on all of these things. So starting with this first page that I'm working on is my financial goals and rules for the year of 2020, or whatever year you're setting this up, and it's basically just a way for you to write down what you want to accomplish with your finances. And I think it's really important to set goals in general, and especially within your financial life. And this page kind of just sets the tone for your attitude towards your finances. Okay, so moving on to the budget tracker page. This is where I track my budget. Who would have guessed? Basically, what I do here is I divide my income into 8 different categories. The first category is income, and the rest of the categories are expenses. So I have entertainment, I have health and fitness, I have miscellaneous, transportation, household, debt, and savings. And basically what I do each month is very straightforward. Here you can see I've only set up 6 months, and the reason being I'm using all fictional numbers, and I'm literally setting this up just so that I can show you guys how I use these spreads, and I'm not going to be using these after I'm finished filming this video. So I figured I'm gonna take the easy route, and I'm not gonna draw more grids than I have to, just to kind of get my point across. So that's why I only did 6 months. Let me just zoom you guys in a little bit so you can see what the heck I'm doing. Say that your budget is, I don't know, $3,000 maybe. This is like your expected income, right? What you do is you take this number and then you divide it up between these different categories. Me personally, I have a goal to save at least 10% of my monthly income. So I would put 300 minimum at the savings section. It's a little piggy bank if you can't tell. It's like the randomest doodle. And then you just put in, obviously you put in reasonable amounts in all of these. You know, it all has to be realistic, otherwise it's not gonna work. So say you spend about $100 a month for entertainment, you spend $500 for health and fitness, and then you have $400 for miscellaneous, and you just fill in however much you're expecting to spend in each category. And all of these guys should add up to the income, because the income is going to be divided between these 7 categories. So basically, this is what you do at the very beginning of the month, and as the month goes by, I'll show you a little bit later exactly how I track this during the month. But at the end of the month, you fill in the actual amounts. So say that you actually earned $3,500 this month. That way, you earned $500 more than you were expecting to, right? So the difference right here, you have the budget amount, you have the actual amount, and then you have the difference section right here. So I put 500 in a green pen because it's a positive number, and if it's a negative number, I put it in a red pen. Again, I'm a very visual person, and colors and images and things like that make it really easy for me to just process information, and that's why I do this. The next one, maybe you splurged a little and you just spent $200 on entertainment when your budget was only $100. Then the difference between these, it's $100 that you overspent. So then I would put $100 in a red pen just to clarify that you were over budget. And if you spend what the amount is, I'll just put it at a 0 with the black marker, because it's not negative, it's not positive, it's like on budget. And then you just fill in the rest of these numbers, fill in all of the actual amounts that you spent in each category. And down here at the bottom you have the total in and out. So the total in would be the income right here, this amount. So that would be 3,500, and the out would be all of these categories right here. Boop. So everything except for the savings, because the savings you're technically not spending, right? So these categories all added together will give you a grand total of something. I don't know, maybe you spent $3,050. That way you earned $450 more than you spent. So I'll put 450. So if you're spending more than you're earning, this is going to be a red number, and yeah, so on. If we do a little slide right up here, you can see I have the section for big expenses. So say that your car broke down or whatever, and you had to spend a lot more fixing it 1 month than you would normally. I'll just do like car repair. Maybe you spent another $500 in March. So this way you know that the car budget is probably gonna be way higher in March, because you had to spend another $500 repairing your vehicle. So this is just like a little overview if you're wondering why certain amounts are way higher than they're normally. You just have this little cheat sheet so you can see like, oh right, that's what happened, that's why that is. And then at the end of the year, what I do is I take all of the numbers, so all of the budgeted income, and I add them all together, and I put the total in here, right? All of the months together. And then I do the same thing. I do the actual amounts that I've earned from all of the months, and I put it in here. Then I do the difference, what I budgeted, the actual amount, and what the difference between the amount were. And then I do that for all of the categories, and in the very same fashion as I did the calculations on the monthly budget, I do it on the yearly budget as well. So I just count all of the income, all of the actual income I put here, actual income, and all of the expenses would be all of these categories added together. So that would be the total amount here. And then I do this amount minus this amount, and it's gonna give me this amount. So yeah, that's a super basic way of explaining how I use this, but I really like this setup. I think it's nice, and it's very easy for me to keep up with, and I hope that you guys enjoy it too. Moving on to the savings page. This is where I keep track of all my savings. I have chosen out the different categories, different savings goals as you would, and I've picked up a few things off of Dave Ramsey and his 7 baby steps. You can just Google that and you'll have like a bunch of great resources of knowing exactly what that is. But I've kind of picked out my favorite baby steps and implemented them in the rest of my spreads. And the first thing that I decided to do was the $1,000 emergency fund goal. And that is something unexpected happens. You know, you have to take your puppy to the vet, or you have to buy new tires, or your phone broke and you need to get it fixed, or whatever. You have an emergency fund, so in case of like unexpected events, you have somewhere to grab money from. The second goal that I'm implementing is the 3 to 6 month fund, where you save the amount that you would normally spend in 3 to 6 months. So you will have enough to cover all of your expenses for this period of time, just in case you were to lose your job or something like that would happen. So just in case something happens along those lines, you know that you have a plan B and you're gonna be safe. So those are two main ones that I've implemented. And then, you know, you can add in, you can see here, I've added in renovation and vacation. I figured that that's, you know, good examples. Again, all of these numbers and spreads are just fictional because I'm not about to put all of my finances on the interwebs forever. So I'm gonna zoom you guys in again. Okay, so for example, we have the emergency fund right here, and let's say it's at $1,000 the goal, and we want to reach it before the 31st of December 2020. So you put in the amount that you want to reach, and then you put down a realistic timeline of when you want to reach it. It's really, really important that it's actually realistic for you to reach it within this time. So considering your income and your expenses and how much you're actually able to like physically save each month, it's really, really important that you put something that you're actually able to reach. Otherwise it's just gonna be like gutting to look back at this, and you're gonna have like, if you're like, oh, I'm gonna save $100,000 in 3 months, but it's like unless you have that kind of income, that's gonna be impossible, right? So just be realistic when you put down your goals, and just think about what's actually possible for you to reach. So as you can see, I have one little section here for each one of my goals, and in each section you have the date, where you put down the date of the whole transaction that's happening. So today is the 12th of July, and say I already have $200 in this account, and then I am saving another $200. That means the new balance would be $400. So I had $200 to start with, then I added another $200, and now the new balance is $400. So the next time I do this, $400 would be the starting balance, because that's what we ended at the last time. And then I'm adding in another $300, and now we're at $700. And maybe your car broke down and you had to fix it, and that cost you $250. Then I put minus $250, because this one in particular, right, is an emergency fund, and no matter how bad we want them not to happen, sometimes things happen and sometimes they cost money, and that's what this fund is for. So this fund in particular is probably gonna go up and down quite a bit, so it's okay to have some minus posts in here. Again, I think it's really important to be realistic, and obviously the less minus there is, the better, but realistically, I think that you need to be prepared that you might have to take some money out of this account as well. So yeah, that's basically how I use it. I put down the starting balance, I put down the change of the amounts, and then I put down the new balance, and that's pretty much it. It's very straightforward. I just want to talk to you guys about this top corner right here. As you can see, I've drawn a bunch of little squares right here, and how I use these, this is kind of like just a visual tool for me. I'm a very visual person, and I like to see things, like physically see things and images, and you know, it just gives me like an impression, and it helps me process the information and what's happening in a different way. So basically, here is 100 little squares. You can do however many you want. I thought it was fun to do a kind of road to $10,000 type thing, which means that each and every one of these boxes would be worth $100. So as you're saving $100, you can color one of these in, and then you save another $100, and then you color another in, and then you save another $200, $300, $400. And as you're saving money, you can see these like actively filling up, and it's gonna be not only visibly pleasing to see them all all filled in, but it gives you that sense of accomplishment, kind of like ticking off like a to-do list, and just feeling like you're getting closer to your goal. And I think it's a really nice visual presentation of the fact that something is actually happening and you're working towards something. And it may be a slow progress, but it's progress and you can see it, you can physically see it. So yeah, I think that this part is really important, at least for me. And yeah, that's how I use it. Next up, we have the debt snowball system. And if you don't know what the debt snowball system is, it's basically where you arrange all your debts ranging from the lowest amount to the highest amount, and you focus all of your energy to pay off as much as you possibly can on the lowest amount first, so that you can completely tick that one off. Once you ticked off that first debt, you move on to the second smallest debt, and then you focus all of your energy to pay that one off, and so on and so forth. And throughout this, of course, you need to make minimum payments on all of your credits, but you're putting as much extra as possible on the smallest ones first so that you can get rid of them faster. And I'll combine this with a graph on the right hand page where I can again have a visual representation, so I can make kind of just like a little line graph where I can see my debt actually going down each month. And on the one side I have the amount, and on the other side I have the timeline, so I have the months laid out. Okay, so say for example your credit card number 1, which would be the lowest amount, and then the amounts should go up, like this is the smallest debt, this is the biggest debt, right? So say the starting balance is, I don't know, like $300, and your minimum payment of this loan is $50. You do this for all of the debts. Say that this one's at $700 and you need to pay $100 each month. That's the minimum monthly payment. Your car is at, I don't know, say your car is at $1,500 and you need to pay $100 there too. Like, again, these aren't actual numbers. It's probably not going to make any sense, but I'm just trying to explain the system and how I use it. So the study loan is at $3,000 and you need to pay $200 a month. So the main focus is to get rid of the smallest debt first, right? So the snowball payment would be however much extra you're able to put in to paying off this loan the first month. So say that you can put another 50 in there. So in total, you're paying off $100. So that would leave you with another $200 to go. And the snowball payment is only focused on the smallest debt first. So for the rest of them, it's not going to be one this month. So you're just going to have that one minimum payment on all of these. And just for the simplicity of it, normally, you know, this would be this would have gone up a little bit because of interest rates and things like that, but I'm just gonna keep this simple, and I'm just gonna not do the math for that. So I'm just gonna put the very same numbers down once again, and the minimum payment is still the same as well, because I'm not gonna overcomplicate things. So at this point, you can see that once we've done this snowball payment, this one is actually at 0. So this one would be paid off at this point, and these ones keep ticking. So now what we do is we take the whole amount that we used to pay for the priority 1 loan. So that would be the minimum payment plus the snowball payment. So that's another $100. So we have the minimum payment of the loan, and then we add the Snowball payment, which would be the original Snowball payment plus the previous minimum payment. So that would be another $100, which leaves you with $200 here, and the rest of them are just per usual as they were before. No Snowball payments are on those loans yet. So we have 1,100 left there, we have 2,000 left there, and on this next one we have 200 left. The minimum payment is 100 and the Snowball payment is now 100, which means that the new balance is 0 and this one is also paid off. So this new Snowball payment would be again the previous Snowball payment plus the minimum payment that you paid on the last loan. So yeah, you you get the gist of it. So basically you're focusing all of your energy to pay off the smallest debt. Once you paid off that debt, you take the amount that you used to pay for this debt to get rid of the next debt. And once you've paid that off, you take whatever money you used to pay every month for this debt to pay off the next debt, and so on and so forth until you're debt free. I hope that makes sense. Let me zoom you guys out a little bit. You can also see that I've color coded these before. So the pink one would be the credit card. I'm just gonna do a really quick example. So the starting balance for July was $300. Here I didn't do all the zeros because it was gonna take me forever. But $300 would be at this point, so I make a little point, and then we paid off $100, right? Because it's 50 plus 50, so that would put us down one peg. And I put this in the middle of the month, so I have the kind of beginning of the month and then the payment of the month, and then the beginning of the next month and the payment of the next month. So I put one dot at the starting balance, then I put one dot at the new balance, and then I just connect them. And then in August we had 200, and then I connect them. The payment in August put us down to the new balance of 100, so I put it at the 100 mark, and then I just connect the lines and you can see it just declining. And then we had the starting balance, and here we actually became debt free, which is pretty darn awesome, right? So that debt is completely dead. So obviously I do this on a monthly basis. I'm just doing this all at one go so I don't have to switch pens every 5 seconds. So the starting balance here was 700, so I put the mark at 700, and then the new balance was 600, so I put the next mark at 600, and then I connect the dots. And again, this is basically just a visual representation so that you can see the decline of your debts, and it's, at least for me, it's a really nice motivating thing to look at. So yeah, that's how I use the spread. The next spread that I have is my bill tracker, and this is basically where I keep track of all of my bills and all of my subscriptions, and the amounts that I need to pay, if they are auto pay or if they're manual. I also have a little section at the very top where I keep all of my annual renewal dates so that they don't take you by surprise, because that I hate it when that happens, when all of a sudden there's just this big chunk of money missing and there's one of your like annual subscriptions or recurring charges that has just gone through and you weren't prepared for it. So I like this little space so I can kind of keep an eye on that and knowing when any big transactions are gonna occur. And for the tracker itself, I have a space to write down the bill or the subscription service. I also have a little key that you can see. So I use this key where I put a circle first. If I fill the circle in, it's a manual payment. If I don't, it's an auto pay. So for example, I'll put Netflix, and that is auto pay. The amount is 89 crowns or whatever, and whatever renewal date it is. So for me, it renews on the 17th. And once you pay it, you just put a little check mark. So another example would be my phone bill. And my phone bill is something that I pay manually. So I use my little code up here, which is a black dot, is manual. So I fill in the dot so I can see that I need to do that myself. It's not going to be an automatic withdrawal. Then I put the amount, and then you put the due date, and that's normally the 30th of the month. And once I've paid that, I can just do a check mark. At the very bottom here, you can see I have a total, and there I just like to put all of the amounts together so I can see the total that I pay each month. And that's really, it's just like a visual representation for me, so I can see kind of how much like fixed expenses I have each month. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Very straightforward, but very nice and effective, and I love this brand. Last but not least, we have my expenses tracker that I use on a daily basis along with my budget envelope system. And on the left hand page, I am setting up a little section for each and every one of my categories: the income, the entertainment, the health and fitness, the miscellaneous, the transportation, debt, household, and savings categories. I also have one little section for each and every one of the days of the month, and at the very bottom I have a total little section. And here I write down each and every single day, I write down the total amount that I spend in each and every section. On the right hand page, I have my budget envelope system. So if you've heard about the system before, you know that basically it's a system where you use cash envelopes. You have one envelope for each category, and inside said envelope you have the amount of money that you have budgeted for that category for that period of time. And once you know, if you buy food or groceries, you take that out of the grocery envelope, or for me that would be the household envelope. So as you're spending the money in the envelope, you know, that's what you're budgeted. So if you run out of money, you are at the limit of your budget. So if you need more money than what's in the envelope, you're over budget, if that makes any sense. So basically this that I'm setting up is a way for me to kind of do the cash envelope system without the cash part. So what I do is I draw out an envelope for each and every one of the categories. I'm only doing 7 categories. I'm not doing the income because there's no need to have an envelope for that. So I have an envelope for each and every one of the expenses, and then I draw these little squares inside the envelopes, and each square represents a set amount, and the amount depends on what the budget is. So for example, for entertainment, say that the total budget was $100, then each and every one of these squares, it's 10 squares in here, so each and every one of these are worth $10 each, and all of these put together will be $100. So as I am spending money, so say that on the first you got paid your $3,000 and you filled up gas, and the next day you paid off some debt and you bought some groceries, and you know, you just fill in however much you spend each and every day. And for example, here you say you spent $45, and what I do is at the end of each and every day I count up how much all of these add up to. So say you spent another $20 here, so you spent in total $65. So what I would do is, first off, I would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 65. So I write down the total that I know I've filled in, and then what I do is I just block off the used money, so to speak, and that's kind of how I use my budget envelope system. And at the end of the month, I add all of these together and I write down the total. And this total amount is actually the amount that I put right here on the actual. So the total that I get throughout the month in each category is the actual amount that I put in here on my budget sheet. So yeah, that's how I use all of my economy and finance spreads in my bullet journal. I really hope that this video was helpful for you guys. Let me know if there's anything else that you would like me to cover on my channel. And until then, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a lovely day or night or evening or whatever it is as you're watching this. And I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you so much for watching and happy planning. Bye!